Hi, this is Dawn. Welcome to our special guest interview training. I do these guest interviews on topics that I consider especially relevant to owner financing and notes, things that fit hand in glove. And Randy Hughes is the guy that introduced me to land trust. Well, I guess I was introduced to the idea, but he's the one that got me to actually use them and held my hand the first few trusts I put together. And I was kind of scared, doing something the first time. It's really nice to have someone who's sort of over your shoulder. And, that was just a really awesome way. That's been about 5 years, I want to say, maybe six even.
Yeah, maybe.
So thank you to you, Randy, just for myself. And I
Hmm.
know a lot of people, email me said, yeah, I already have his course, great guy, and all of that. But one of the first, Randy has been doing land trust and real estate for forever, for a really, really long time. And super valuable resource, and just a solid guy in terms of knowing just about real estate investing in general, asset protection. We're even investing in some notes together, right, Randy?
Right.
You do owner carry using your land trust all the time. And all I can say is, I don't do a ton of interviews, and I'm not especially, a very avid marketer. So when I bring someone to your attention, it's because I have a personal relationship with them. I believe in not only their product and their knowledge, but also their integrity and honesty as a person. And Randy gets really high scores on all of that. I really can 110% recommend um, Randy, to all of the people who may be listening. So anyway,
Just a little bit of background on myself. I started buying houses, single-family houses, when I was 19 years old in college, and that's pretty much what I've done my whole life is buy and sell and do something with houses, rehab and um, but mainly a buy and hold guy. And it was probably after I had about 15 houses in my own personal name that I woke up one night and in the middle of the night and thought, my gosh, anybody and everybody can go down to the courthouse. This was before the internet, and look up exactly what I own and see the mortgages against the property and roughly calculate what the equity is and know what my net worth is. And I thought that is really stupid. Talk about inviting a lawsuit. That's a good way to invite a lawsuit. Is to put yourself out there as somebody with hard assets. And in since then, I started researching different ways of holding title to real estate other than in my name. And of course, there are corporations, LLCs, and other kinds of trusts and land trusts. And I do use LLCs, and I like LLCs, and I use corporations, but not to hold the title to real estate. I've found that the most private way of owning title to real estate is through these land trusts. And the reason why is a land trust is not, except in 3 states, it's not required to register anywhere on planet Earth. Um, that is very, very unusual and becoming more unusual every day as the Patriot Act filters its way through our society. I don't know if any of you have tried to open a bank account lately, but uh,
gee,
it, it's it's just you almost feel like you've been violated when you come out of the bank.
I know.
Uh,
How
it's
about
just
just
ridiculous.
just even putting, cash in or withdrawing it out is getting to be, this war on cash we've got going. It's something else.
Oh, I know. I mean, uh, for the longest time, I had no personal bank accounts in my name. I had business accounts and LLC accounts, but I had no personal bank account. And when my wife would write me a check for cash out of her personal account, and I would take it to her bank, they wouldn't cash it because I didn't have an account there. and it's just it's just getting ridiculous. So
So this is a great time to interject a question from Barbara. And she's saying, do the land trusts that you're talking about only apply to investor property, but how about your personal residence that has a mortgage on it?
no, it applies to all real estate, your personal residence, and any any real estate or real estate related asset can be placed in a land trust. So, for example, you could put, let's say you own an office building or a McDonald's building or a Walgreens building, an apartment building, a duplex, a fourplex, a single-family home, air rights, mineral rights, mortgages, notes, any real estate-related asset can be put into a trust.
Yeah,
And I say,
and after you got your bank loan though, right? So like you have your house in your personal name to get the mortgage from Bank of America or whatever, and then after you have it, you just stick it back into the trust. I mean, it's the same as if you
right,
just have a regular estate planning trust, which when I bought my house the first time, we had it. We had an estate planning trust, but to get a refinance, we had to pull it out into our personal names, close the loan, and then stick it back into the trust. And then after that, when I met you, I stuck it into a land trust beyond that.
right. Yep, and that's what you have to do, and until you're full up on those loans, and then once you're dealing with a portfolio lender, you can close directly into the trust and never be in the chain of title, which is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Never have your name in the county courthouse records.
So, but now let's talk about how it relates to owner financing and notes and those strategies. And Zach is
Okay.
saying, if you own real estate in a land trust and then you sell it with owner financing, do you retain the note within the land trust? Do you keep the land trust in place? And so, I mean, obviously there's options. You can or you don't have to, but why don't you speak about that? Because I know you've used this for trust for doing owner financing quite a bit.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's how I
Great,
would
great question.
ideally use it too. So,
Well, Zach, here's a way to do this. Um, if you're going to owner finance, there's a great risk to you in owner financing, and that risk is if the buyer defaults. I mean, everybody up front is all happy, and everybody promises to do everything until time goes by and things happen, and next thing you know, they're not making payments. And the problem with standard seller financing deals is that if you sell on a contract to a buyer and that buyer defaults, the buyer has contractual rights in the real estate, which means that in most states that you're going to have to foreclose that interest to get it back if he stops making payments. And that in Illinois is not only a long but an expensive process. I helped a friend of mine last year go through this, and he spent $10,000 in legal fees, and it took almost a year to get title of his property back. So, while that's going on, you're making mortgage payments to protect your credit score, while the deadbeat is living in your house for free, and so the frustration level and the sleepless nights are unbelievable.
not to
So the
mention
best way,
taxes and insurance and wondering if they're ripping the place to pieces.
exactly, Dawn. So the way I avoid that, because I do a lot of seller financing, but I don't want to ever foreclose. So what I do is I sell the beneficial interest in the land trust on an installment contract.
But it's a note, it's a promissory note, but there's no security agreement recorded like a deed of trust or mortgage.
That's right. There's nothing recorded. It says in the contract that they will not record it. The assignment of beneficial interest is held by an escrow agent, which is usually my attorney, and they sign a contract to make monthly payments, and they pay 1/12 of their tax bill to me. They buy their own insurance and name my trust as the additional insured.